Okay. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Weird. I think we got it now. Okay, my apologies. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Batters Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com, Restored Motions, RestoredMotions.com, ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. All right, good people. LSU beats Grambling 72-10. The great Todd Politz did in fact clarify that the last time, well, of course, LSU scored 70 against Texas A&M in the overtime game. But I asked, the last time LSU scored 70 in regulation was 1991. 1991 against Arkansas State, LSU won 70-14. The win over Tulane, the 72 points, is the most points and largest margin of victory since beating Rice 77-0 back in 1977, as Jerry DeLucky pointed out at Whiskey and Wine last night. So, 1991, last time LSU scored 70 in regulation. Most points scored since the Rice game in 77. All right. What y'all got? Fire away. Logan Diggs got the start at running back, looked really good. We saw Denver Harris in the first half at cornerback. Huh? What stuff? Oh, sorry. I did my Nutrisystem waffles, and so I had to pull that out to get to I'll put it back. I forgot. Denver Harris got the start. We got to see a lot of Lance Hurd, who entered on LSU's LSU's fourth possession. So he entered in the second quarter, played the rest of the game. Nuss played the entire third quarter. Ricky Collins got the two possessions in the fourth quarter. LSU scored on its first 10 possessions. It only did not score on its final possession, its 11th, where they went for it on a 4th and 5, just ran the ball up the middle and got like 4 yards. But I thought Caleb Jackson looked really good in the game. Brian Thomas had a drop on the first drive, came back to have a nice day. It was good to see Chris Hilton get involved early. He had a 6-yard reception on the first drive and then caught the long touchdown on the second drive. So really good to see Chris Hilton get some action early in the ball game. Harold Perkins back up at the line of scrimmage, literally first play of the game, first defensive play. Right at the line of scrimmage, he walloped the would-be receiver, so I guess technically he was in pass coverage, but he was there at the line of scrimmage. So the defense allowed 173 yards in the first quarter. That was not so great, but once they made some adjustments, they were good. They only allowed about 150 yards the whole rest of the game. So, all in all, a pretty good day for LSU. You got a lot of people involved. You scored 72 points. You had a lot of success. You're mostly healthy. You fielded your punts. So all in all, pretty good day for the Tigers. Y'all fire away if y'all got anything. Of course, it's game day. Saints-Titans, noon. Fired up for it. My official prediction on AFR Friday was Titans 27-24. Saints are a 3-point home favorite. And I would love to see the Saints come out and get a win to start the season, especially at home in a game where you're favored. I just think Tennessee is better at the line of scrimmage, and I think that's probably the difference. The Saints' run defense was not good last year. They've obviously made over that unit, but to have to face Derrick Henry and the Titans week 1 is a challenge. Flip side of it is Tennessee's run defense was number 1 in the NFL last year. You certainly have questions about the productivity of your offensive line. There's no Alvin Kamara. I don't have a great feeling about this game. So I did pick Tennessee 27-24 today. But Y'all, shoot, I was wrong last week. Hope I'm wrong again. Let's go. Jerry DeLucky, Renee Marks, Megan Hurst, Clayton Knight. Good morning, y'all. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. Appreciate y'all as always. Aaron Hornsby, Craig Duga, Joel Cunningham. Are you surprised the DBs are this bad and coaches haven't had the ability to adjust? You know, Joel, I was listening to Handy and Richard Dixon. So after Whiskey and Wine, I was driving home and I was listening to those guys. I stayed up to watch the Auburn-Cal game, so I had them on my phone. I was listening to. And Dixon made a good point. It was they were talking about essentially a question that I asked Brian Kelly at the press conference on Tuesday, which was, with your defensive backs, was the problem, was it technique or was it just their guys are better than your guys? And when he spoke about technique, he spoke about sometimes on certain routes, letting a receiver get the defensive back supposed to stay inside the receiver. And Dixon was pointing out he noticed that with Chestnut last week, so that's probably who he was talking about. But then you can look at some of those plays, like the Keon Coleman touchdown in the back of the end zone against Major Burns. So Major Burns was draped all over him. The Coleman touchdown in the back of the end zone against Chestnut. Chestnut was right there. The 41-yard deep over the middle that Coleman caught. Chestnut had him face guard. He was right there. Coleman made the play. So in that respect, their guy was making plays, but what Richard Dixon said was, as a defensive back, you've got to play the ball and not the man. They were playing the man and not the ball, so you're there, but if a receiver's high pointing the ball, you're not affecting the ball, he's still going to make the catch. So maybe that's more technique. They can keep learning and keep improving. So there's margin there. And they're probably going to play a lot of zone. And I'll say it again, because I know everyone was asking about the Denver Harris. And what I've been told from the beginning about Denver Harris is really good athlete, has played most of his football career just being a better athlete than the guy across from him. And if you're going to play at this level, you have to understand zone concepts and your responsibilities and zone coverage and all that sort of stuff. And he doesn't. And if this team is going to continue to struggle to cover the way they have, they're going to have to play a lot of zone and tackle. And if you have a guy that doesn't understand his responsibilities in zone, it's hard to justify putting him out there. So anyway, but I do think there's room for improvement for him and for all of the defensive backs. How much? I don't know, but I'll go back to the point that I made at the beginning of this year, which is we've seen teams with bad pass defense numbers win the national championship. I'm not saying LSU is going to win the national championship. Obviously, you have an uphill climb after losing week one. Possible, but we'll see. But the other point of it that I was making all summer was I think this is the worst quarterback league in the SEC since 2014. For worst quarterback year in the SEC since 2014. And LSU has the best starting quarterback in the conference. So look at what happened in Alabama last night. Look at Texas A&M. Their defense got embarrassed by Miami. And oh, by the way, if you look at that final score and you say, yeah, but A&M scored, was it 33? I think A&M scored. Miami gifted them their first 2 touchdowns on special teams plays. They muffed a punt and then credit A&M because they blocked a punt. They blocked a punt and got the ball at the 10-yard line, and then Miami muffed a punt at the 10-yard line. So A&M got 2 touchdowns on super short fields that were just gifted to them. They had one really long sustained drive. So, Tulane's run defense absolutely throttled Ole Miss's running game and Quinshon Judkins, which was surprising. Mississippi State needed overtime at home to beat Arizona. My point, I get it. We all make picks, and sometimes you get some right, you get some wrong. People always remember what you get wrong. I picked Clemson to win the ACC. Of course, I picked LSU to beat Florida State and go to the national championship. But I was also right about Colorado. And so far, I've been right about the quality of the quarterback play in the league and how nobody's really good, which is why it's pretty wide open for LSU or for anybody in the West. Damon Gilmore, Jamie Hodges, James, good morning. Jeb Whitley, great whiskey and wine last night. Nice to hear y'all just talk about the landscape of college football. Well, sometimes, Jeb, whenever You have a 72-10 game. Sans a lot of drama. Yeah, you find other ways. But yeah, it was a good show last night. And a great day of college football to do it. I mean, considering what happened. I mean, it's a bad day for the SEC, but it was a great day of college football. Austin Kidder, good morning. Taking the family to Laguna Beach all week. Be sure to flash the LSU attire and binge watch Morning Scone on demand when we get back. Cheers. Appreciate it, man. Brennan Huff, good morning. Nothing better than a weekend of football. I'm with you there, man. I'm looking forward to today. Saints kick off at noon. Hopefully they get the win against the Titans. Got a great day of football, and then of course Monday Night Football we get to watch Bills Jets. So tomorrow night is Aaron Rodgers' debut with the Jets. So good day of football. We're looking forward to it. Joey Metge, Leonard Revere. Sorry, I thought I need to sneeze. Hate that. Scotty 3rd and 8. Oh, Scotty 3rd and 8. Daniels is throwing a 5-yard route. What a mistake against good teams. Y'all know what I talk about all the time about fans existing in an echo chamber and only looking for pieces of looking for affirmation, not information. Right? They'll only look for the instances that validate their opinions, and won't acknowledge when things actually go well. You know what? Y'all have heard me say that before. Yeah, that's Scotty. So Jaden Daniels last night was 18 of 24 for 269 and 5 touchdowns. They literally scored a touchdown on every one of his drives. Every one of them. 3rd and 8, throwing the ball 5 yards. Let's see. I have it right here. Hang on. Let's go through every 3rd down that Jaden Daniels had. Let's go through every one that Jaden Daniels had. Okay. And by the way, there were 2 drops as well. So Daniels was 18 of 24 for 269 and 5 touchdowns. He should have been 20 of 24 for whatever, 300, but anyway. Okay. Let's see. Here we go. First possession, they faced a 3rd and 4, and he threw a 26-yard touchdown to Brian Thomas. That's pretty good. Second possession, 12-yard draw, screen to Brian Thomas. That was the roughing the passer penalty, and then 47-yard touchdown to Chris Hilton. Oh, look, they threw a deep ball. That's pretty good. Let's see. Third possession, Malik Neighbors over the middle for 30 yards. Went downfield pretty good. Let's see, sacked. 2nd and 13, Jaden ran for 12 yards, scrambled for 12 yards. So they had a 3rd and 1. They gave it to Josh Williams. He ran for 12 yards up the middle. Let's see. Next possession, they faced a 3rd and 2, and Logan Diggs ran for 6 yards. So on 3rd down, they faced there. Let's see. Okay. Second to last possession of the first half, they had a 3rd and 2. They handed it off to Josh Williams for 3 yards. And then they had a 3rd down where he threw the touchdown pass to Brian Thomas in the back of the end zone. So far, I'm not seeing any 3rd and 8s, and he throws the ball 5 yards. He's got one more possession. It's the last possession of the first half, but I'm sure it's in here, Scotty. Let me just make sure. I'm sure you're right that there's a 3rd and 8 and he threw it 5 yards. I'm sure it's in this possession. Let me make sure. Let's see. No, they had a 3rd and 10, and Malik Neighbors got a 15-yard reception. So no, 3rd and 8 where he threw it 5 yards. 42-10.5. Scored in all 6 of his possessions. Touchdowns in all 6 of his possessions. Threw for 5 touchdowns. So I'm sure it was in the game somewhere, though. I probably missed it. Yo, that's my point. You got a quarterback who led the team to 6 out of 6 touchdown drives. He had 3 pass attempts on 3rd down. 2 of them went for touchdowns, and one of them was 3rd and 10. He completed a 15-yard pass. If you were complaining about Jaden Daniels after last night, you will never be convinced. That's the point that I'm making. And it's not, look, that guy Scotty isn't alone. Y'all know that. But it's why there's no reason about being emotional about this anymore when people clap about Jaden. Like, it's just, they have made up their mind. They will never be convinced to the contrary. My only hope is that whenever LSU has great moments this year, they can enjoy them, because otherwise you're robbing yourself of your joy during football season over something so dumb, like so obvious and so dumb. I mean, you saw last night on the broadcast, they showed that there's only Bo Nix and Sam Hartman have started more college football games than Jade Daniels. Dude started 45 college football games, whatever it is. Like, he's going to be your quarterback. He's going to be your quarterback all year. And, you know, it's going to be fine. It's going to be good. Let's see. Larry Garner, Lewis Malhoit, good morning. Tucker, Oliver, morning, Matt. What's the best way to listen to Ott for his and the colleagues' picks? Yeah, man. So usually around 11:30 is whenever he starts the Cappers recap. I've mentioned this to y'all before. He has, if I'm not mistaken, he has Andy Isco on live. It might be Andy and Paul live back to back, and then he, like, for their live picks today, and then they go into the Cappers recap. So maybe pick him up, start at like 11:15 to get Andy and Paul's picks, and then he plays the recorded Cappers recap, which is all the guys from the week giving out their best plays of the game. And then typically what I look for is if there's agreement. Like, if multiple handicappers are giving out the same play, then usually I'll go a little heavier on that, right? So, but yeah, but how you can listen on the app if you're not in Baton Rouge to listen on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Download the 104.5 ESPN app and you can listen on demand. Strong side. Morning, Scone. Game day. What's your keys to the game? Line of scrimmage. I know that's so cliche and everybody wants to see Derek Carr and the receivers. I get it. But Tennessee had the number 1 rush defense in the NFL a year ago. Saints had the number 24 rush defense in the NFL a year ago. Who can run the football? Who can stop the run? I genuinely believe like it is that simple today. Let's see. Bubba Tater, good morning, Sconers. Headed to the beach for a couple days for a full weekend in NOLA next week. Can't wait to be home. All right, Bubba. Elijah Stein, good morning, Hunter Broadhead. Jaleel Dean. Is it crazy for me to say that Bama could lose 3 games this season? Jaleel, my pick for Alabama this year was 9-3, and I went on Alabama radio and said that, and I said that to Paul Feinbaum at SEC Media Days, and so no, it's not crazy. Like, they are not, you saw it yesterday, they are not the same team and program they have been. And it's not just Jalen Milroe, because for those of you that listen to this show or AFR or anything, you've heard me say this a bajillion times. It said it last night on Whiskey and Wine. There are 2 coexisting realities. Alabama was a field goal at the gun and a 2-point conversion in overtime away from being 12-0 last year. That is a fact. Also a fact is Bryce Young had a Houdini act against a blitzing corner against Texas that if he gets tackled right there, the game is over. They do not have enough time with no timeouts to get back to the line of scrimmage, get in field goal range, clock it, and kick a field goal. Game is over. And they were also a pass into the end zone in the last play against A&M and a pass into the end zone in the last play against Ole Miss away from losing. So they were also, the coexisting realities, they were also those 3 plays away from being 7-5. But they had Bryce Young, and they played in 5 50-50 games a year ago. They went 3-2 And now you don't have Bryce Young, and you have Jalen Milroe at quarterback. Yeah, they're going to lose games. Absolutely. Let's see, Murder Giraffe. Aaron Anderson looked way better. The shovel pass touchdown that they ran to Malik, we've seen them run that. I mean, they ran that with Malik in the bowl game really successfully. We've seen them run that with Aaron Anderson in practice But yeah, good to see him get involved. Let's see. YouTube, do me a favor, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Todd Harris, good morning. Craig Dugard never knew T-Bob was a closet Alabama fan. So we were at Don Juan. T-Bob was cheering for. So I guess on Snaps on his show that he does there in Murray, he went hard after Texas this week, and so he was kind of pulling for Alabama. It was funny. Like he's sitting at the bar like, "Oh, great Cats." I'm like, "Dude, you're cheering for Alabama." So I took a video, put it on Twitter. Ryan Dixon, how much of the defensive struggles are on Matt House? Yeah, it's a fair question. The real challenge that I have there, Ryan, is, are you out of position, right? Or are your guys just not making plays? So I think specifically with the pass defense, I think we all understand, like, they just don't have good enough corners right now. You allowed 173 in the first quarter, and I'll tell you the two plays that were the most concerning. On their second drive, they had a 3rd and 15, and they ran a draw and went for 35 yards. And on their first drive of the second quarter, they had a 3rd and 10, and they handed the ball off and ran for 27 yards. That's the drive where they missed the field goal. Now, you got it under control after that, but those first two drives, Grambling putting up 10 points, going touchdown field goal, and missing a 23-yard field goal, was like, I mean, you gotta be kidding. Now, they did nothing the rest of the game. But that was kind of how it went last year as well. Sometimes you'd see slow starts defensively, and then LSU would make their adjustments and be really good the rest of the way. But Kelly Gross, good morning. Craig Dugas, 10 out of 10 possessions for scores has to be a record. Well, it wasn't 10 out of 10. It was 10 out of 11. They scored on their first 10, but their last possession, LSU went for it on a 4th and 5. They handed it off to Caleb Jackson. They got 4 yards, so they turned it over on downs. Let's see. And Daniels joined Burrow for most TDs and a half. I guess that has to be the one against the opener in 2019, right? Georgia Southern. All right. Let's see. Oh, man. Gary Atchison, what's up? Diggs look good. When Logan Diggs, there's a video that's clipped. We talked about how he's their most talented running back. Immediately when he got to campus, the combination of size, speed, power, make you miss, shiftiness, catch the ball in the back. I know not many people watch this, but like it's weird when you're charting, you do. But he did a really good job picking up blitzes out of the backfield as well. Like he is your most complete back. It's just very obvious. So Logan Diggs looked great. He 15 for 115 and a touchdown. So great debut for Logan Diggs. And LSU gets John Emery back this week going to Mississippi State, so you get even deeper. Ryan Amanda Guidry, Q, what's up, man? Good morning. Patrick Berglass, good morning. Crazy week 2. Bama and A&M go down. West is wide open. Joel Cunningham Spates has essentially been silent in 2 games in the middle of the D thoughts. Joel, I don't know. I think so. Spates was your leading tackler last week, by the way. And yesterday, he only had 1 tackle yesterday. I'm looking at the box score here. I'm wondering how much of that was because all of your leading tacklers were defensive backs, and I think that's part of the way the Grambling played, right? Just spread it out, throw it wide. So Zai Alexander had 5. How about Westweek? I'm sorry, 6. Westweek had 6. So West played well in the second half. Andre Sam had 5. Major Burns had 5. Greg Penn had 5. Deshaun Womack 4. Greg Brooks 4. Whitweeks 4. Jordan Jefferson 3 had a sack. Jordan Jefferson's sack was really good in the second half. So it was basically a half of football. So I'll kind of give it a little bit of a pass. I thought he played well enough last week. Mikey Boombats. How many tackles did Perkins have last night? Perkins had 1 tackle. Dalton Barnett, good morning from downtown Baton Rouge. Okay. See, Austin, Matt, you said last night Kelly missed by not retaining Corey Raymond. Was that more due to LSU giving Frank Wilson the title and pay raise he thought he deserved? No. Corey, I know 2 years ago, the last year under Orgeron, wanted to be a defensive coordinator. Like, I know that. He wanted to be considered for DC, and they brought in Durante instead. And I have no strong feeling one way or another about that. Generally, my feeling would be you're LSU, you can afford to go hire the best. You don't need to give someone a shot, right, to be a first-time coordinator at a place like LSU. I mean, LSU tried that with Bradley Del Pivito and Doug Mallory back in 2008, and it was a disaster. But it was one of those things where Corey was not retained and didn't have an opportunity to interview for his job, or he just wasn't retained. So, Kerry Cooks came in with Brian Kelly from Notre Dame, and then Robert Steeples kind of joined him as well. So, and they split the duties in the secondary, but that was a miss. I mean, it's not a knock on Kerry Cooks or Robert Steeples, but Steeples had never been a cornerbacks coach at this level, and you had a guy who was arguably the best in the country, and certainly a guy who had put a lock on recruiting this state and the best DBs in the country, right? So I don't know how you can look at that any other way. It's going to be interesting this week. State's offense wasn't as potent this week, but LSU's defense is concerning. Yeah, man, I mean, you're going on the road in the SEC at 11 a.m. That's never easy. I did pick Mississippi State last in the West. I'm not someone who just every year auto-fills State and Vanderbilt last in their respective divisions. But I did pick Mississippi State last in the West this year because I think a lot of the ancillary factors. Mike Leach was a great coach. Zach Arnett's a first-time head coach. Zach Arnett is not impressive. At least the opportunity, I had a chance to interview him at media days, the times I've heard him speak. Maybe he's got a lot of Dave Aranda in him to where he's just not like that big personality. It's just not going to come across that way. But my lack of faith in Mississippi State more so has to do with no longer having Mike Leach there and having a first-time head coach in Zach Arnett, completely changing offensive systems. Their best receiver, Ra Thomas, is now at Georgia. I mean, I think LSU should go win relatively easily next Saturday if they come correct. Cliff Nelson, good morning. Got to shore up the run defense for the Tigers. Am I missing something? I'm with you, man. They did fine in the second half. They did fine after the first quarter, really. But some of those long runs in the first quarter were concerning for sure. Brad David, do you think Alabama is not as good this year, or was Texas just that good? Don't take anything away from Texas, man. They were really good yesterday. Both lines of scrimmage. Quinn Ewers is a dog. Xavier Worthy is a guy that's on a lot of draft boards as a first-round pick. I mean, they got dudes on that team for sure. But Bama, Jalen Milroe he's a great arm talent. I mean, you could see the arm talent when you watch him, but it's the decision making, man. I mean, he threw two bad interceptions. I mean, the one, just not looking at the underneath help from the defensive back, threw it right into his gut. I mean, that's how Texas kind of opened up their lead in the second half. Guy Brooks, good morning. Happy Football Sunday. Dax Jeter, Matt Plavidal, good morning. Like E-Rock says, yeah, smash the like button.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button. Cortland, good morning. Let's see. Man, sorry. Trying to find where I am in the comments. My apologies, y'all. There we go. Sorry. Fonzarelli, Perkins for Heisman. Morning, Matt. I called in sick to work today to watch the NFL. I'm not sorry about it. Good for you, bro. Your secret's safe with me, man. Brian Penton, good morning. Murder Giraffe. Does Nick stick with Milrow or does he bench him? Really good question, man. You know, a lot of times you look at, I mean, how does last night make the 56-7 win over Middle Tennessee feel for Alabama, right? I mean, this week you're on the road at South Florida down in Tampa, and they're atrocious. So you're going to have no problem there. Then you're home against Ole Miss, and then you got back-to-back road games at Alabama, at Mississippi State, at Texas A&M, home against Arkansas and Tennessee. You get LSU coming in. You got to go to Auburn, at Kentucky. Josh Geraldo, let's see, beating a dead horse, but can't remember seeing this many uncontested drops by receivers ever. Samson, albeit not critical, were ugly. Yeah, I mean, first action for a freshman and didn't take advantage of it, no doubt. First drive of the game, Brian Thomas had a drop. But he came back, obviously, even on that drive, had the 26-yard touchdown. Both of Brian Thomas's touchdown receptions came on third down. So it was 3rd and 4. He caught the 26-yarder. And then second to last drive of the first half, the one he caught over the back middle of the end zone, that was on third down as well. It was 3rd and goal from the 9. So 3rd and goal from the 9. So Fonz, Matt, was the last time you can think of LSU's DBs played 7-10 yards off the wide receiver a lot of the snaps. So Fonz, that's not uncommon, man. It's just not. Like, it depends on your opponent and what you're trying to do. If you're going to give Grambling a cushion, you're playing off the receivers, you're playing zone. You're basically saying, we're not going to let you just run by us and score on an 80-yard touchdown. We'll let you complete the 6-yard underneath route and we'll tackle you right there. And we're going to bet you're not going to be able to go 12 plays down the field doing that. And they didn't. So it was a good strategy for that game. Noah Lejeune, good morning. Cortland Jacob, center couldn't snap the ball. At least Milrow kept his cool relatively well. That's true. They had so many bad snaps as well. It was... Robert Wall, let's see, Logan Diggs and Caleb Jackson look different than our other running backs. Caleb Jackson, it's funny because we saw Caleb in that scrimmage in Tiger Stadium that we talked about. And he was awesome. And Brian Kelly afterwards said, he basically downplayed it. He said, some of that is just bad tackling. And it's like, yeah, I mean, Caleb Jackson, on the touchdown run he had in that scrimmage, he broke 4 or 5 tackles. But he also broke 4 or 5 tackles because he's a really big, strong dude who's hard to tackle. So, and you saw that some last night. So Caleb Jackson looks like LeBrandon Tofield to me. I said that last night on Whiskey and Wine. I don't know if y'all get that. It's just the tall back that's 6'1", like really thick trunk. I mean, you can just see like his legs are massive. Just reminds me a lot. And Diggs wearing the 3, maybe just because wearing the 3 reminds me of Kevin Falk, stylistically and everything. Just the way he moves, bounces off of dudes, keeps his legs churning, finds ways to get forward and get more yards. I'm not saying he's Kevin Falk, just style reminds me of Falk. Anyway, at least Mike the Tiger, at least we're not Florida or Texas. At least we're not Florida. Texas A&M still talking about 1930, and I got it. Stevie Wonder said, Matt, it's understood Walker Howard left because he didn't want to be third string. Is he not in the same exact position at Ole Miss as a third stringer there right now? I don't get it. So I'll tell you very honestly, I haven't asked how it's going at Ole Miss for Walker. What I know is that had he stayed here, it would have been another year of running scout team. And when you run scout team, you are never getting offensive reps. If I remember this correctly, I was told Walker there was 2 or 3 practices all year where he practiced with the offense. He was basically just running scout team offense. And so his thought was, are you really improving if you're just running scout team? It wasn't about going somewhere where he was going to have the opportunity to play. It was more about, was he going to be able to improve and get better? So, let's see. Sampson is a freshman. He's got time to get better. We probably won't see him much this year. A big part of that too is just you got a really good receiver room. But he was the next one up with a freshman. I mean, that's basically the order. That was basically the order that we saw. Is you had Neighbors and Thomas and Lacey, and then Chris Hilton, who has earned. I mean, y'all saw it last night. He had 2 targets. He caught both of them. One was the 47-yard touchdown over the top. Chris Hilton's earned playing time. He's earned playing time and targets and opportunities to be on the field. Thomas and Lacey have continued to have drops. Thomas was great yesterday too, but I mean the first target at the 32-yard line was a drop. So anyway, please smash that like button if you would. 217 watching live, love it. Only 65 likes, we get that up. Noah June, did we ever find out why Diggs didn't play against Florida State? Yeah, he was nursing a hamstring injury. Brian Kelly said it wasn't 100%. Buff SpongeBob, is there a good example for a player like Harris that had to learn zone and what was the time frame? I know no player is the same. There has to be a bit of a playbook on athletic DBs. I don't know exactly what you're asking, but you know what I can do is I can happily get somebody on the show. Like I can get Corey Raymond back on, or not, excuse me, Corey Webster back on the show. We can talk about that for sure. Jermaine Green, good morning. But y'all saw it. Like, I mean, even last night, Harris started and was replaced by Stamps, but who had a nice pass breakup on Grambling's it was 3rd, minute 26 to play in the first half. Stamps had the breakup on 3rd down, the pass breakup on 3rd down that forced the punt that LSU got the ball right before, with a minute 16 left in the half to go on the 2-minute drill. So, but Harris gave up the touchdown on the first drive, and then had the PI on the second drive. Third drive. It was Grambling's 3rd drive where he had the PI. It was the second play of the 3rd drive. All right, please smash that like button if you would. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. Leandra Lewis, good morning. Cliff Ole Miss will run for 300 yards on LSU if they play the same way like the first half last night. But it was wild to watch Tulane out physical Ole Miss at the line of scrimmage. I mean, I don't know if y'all watched that. That was not. I mean, if you didn't watch the Ole Miss game, Ole Miss Tulane, I had A&M and Miami on the TV, and so I had Ole Miss Tulane on my tablet. So I was sitting there watching both, and that final score was 37-20. But y'all, it was a 1-score game with 2 minutes to go, and Tulane had a shot to win it. And then Ole Miss got a scoop and score at the end, and they made it look in the final. Tulane scored with 2:56 to play in the game to make it 27-20. They needed to get a stop and get the ball back for a chance to win. They couldn't get the stop. Ole Miss kicked a field goal to go up 10 with 1:53 to go. And then Tulane got the ball back, and then they had a scoop and score. And so it ended up 37-20. But with 2:56 to go, with their backup quarterback, by the way, Tulane scored to make it a 1-score game after leading for much of the game. Quinshon Judkins had 18 carries for 48 yards. 18 for 48. And that was not a joke. I mean, Tulane was really good at the line of scrimmage against Ole Miss. So, let's see. Let's see, Jason Horn, Rick Manuel, good morning, y'all. Ray Greer, how about the Weeks boys? Yeah, man, they both played the bulk of the second half. West and Witt both look really good. So West is wearing 33, Witt's wearing 40. Renee Marks, what are your thoughts on Mississippi State? I didn't get to see that game, obviously, because they were playing at the same time as LSU and the Alabama-Texas game, so I was really trained on both of those. But, you know, as a 9-point home favorite to need overtime against Arizona, you go like, for me, I think Will Rogers is a good player. I think for me, more than anything with Mississippi State, it's how can you not miss Mike Leach? The fact that he coached at Texas Tech, Washington State, and Mississippi State. He coached at 3 of the Power Fives with the fewest amount of resources in the most remote places and won at all 3. I think that is a really, really, really tough situation for Zach Arnett to walk into. And I don't think much of State this year. Maybe I'll be dead wrong. 11 a.m. on the road in Starfield with the cowbells clanging and all that stuff. It's a tough spot. Hey, Dad, good morning. Jeff McKiffin. Gary Atchison, good to see them go to Kyron Lacey early and often. Yep. He caught a 21-yarder on the opening drive. He did fumble one that he recovered, but kind of as he was being tackled, he fumbled and fell on it. But that's one of those where it's like, come on, man. Like, no harm, no foul there, but you got to hold on to the ball. But yes. Let's see. Murder Giraffe. How about them route concepts? Cody Kivido, it's another football season. Can't wait for my Cowboys to fail laughably in the playoffs like they always do. Damon Gilmore, Colorado's already made some nice change this year. Colorado looked great yesterday. Once they got their offense going, they rolled over Nebraska. So if you were on the Colorado over 3.5 train, you're feeling really good right now because it's Colorado State this week, which should get you to 3-0, and now you got to win one game the rest of the way, which I think they'll find a way to do somewhere. Dax Jeter secondary still a big work in progress. At least the offensive line is shuffled and looks better. Lance Hurd. So they started with the same line with Frazier at right guard and Jones at right tackle. And let's see, the first 3 series they went with that offensive line. The 4th series, which was LSU's first of the second quarter, is when Lance Hurd went in. And that was the drive where it was like the Logan Diggs show. They ran the ball 7 times on that drive. Logan Diggs ran the ball 7 times on that drive, and ultimately scored on the second and goal from 3. So, yes, and then Hurd played the rest of the game at right tackle. Let's see. Richie B. Daniels needs to stop hitting his receivers in the hands. Danny, how do we listen to Handy's Picks Day? So I went over that a little bit ago. So right now, for those watching us live, it's 10:57 a.m. In about 15 minutes or so, Jimmy will have, if he's keeping the same format as last year, he'll have Andy Isco, then Paul Nolan on, and then after that, he'll have his Cappers recap. So really, you got to be locked in here in about 15 minutes or so to get all the picks. Or you could tune him in at like 11:45, and he'll run through them all really quickly. But to give yourself some time, Clint Phillips from the parish. Okay, Matt, I thought the Weeks brothers, and mainly Witt, should start. He's way better in pass coverage, has better instincts against the run. I'm not starting anyone over Omar Spates. Spates and Penn, I think, should start. But I'm good getting the Weeks brothers rotated in there. And yes, Witt Weeks, they love him. Guys, we've talked about that for a long time. They think he's fantastic and he's going to play a lot. He's going to be a really good player in his career here. Murder Giraffe, if Daniels plays like that the rest of the season, LSU's in the playoff. Fans are too dumb to see it. Jermaine Green, do we beat MSU? I think so, yes. Let's see if we got a line on that yet. See if we got a line yet. Patience, 1 sec, please, if you don't mind. Let's see. Here we go. Not seeing the early line yet. Let's see. Early point spread. Here you go. Early point spread. LSU 9.5. 9.5 point road favorite. So. Right. So always shout out to Brock, y'all. After Hours Clinic open on the weekends. And of course, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Hudco's pinned there in the chat. Love to give you a free no obligation roofing inspection if you, a lot of bad weather rolled through this week. No matter where you are in Louisiana, of course, our friends up there in the Bossier office and here south, and we cover the whole state. So no matter where you are, commercial or residential, love to help you out. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Derek Cooper, morning Matt, what's your score prediction for Saints Titans? I actually have the Titans today, 27-24. I know, womp womp. Saints run defense was really bad last year. I don't know that they've improved it. You got Derrick Henry coming in. And on the flip side of it, Titans run defense was the best in the NFL, and the Saints offensive line has some questions, and you don't have Alvin Kamara or Kendre Miller. So I'm just not, I think at the line of scrimmage, Tennessee's better on both sides. So I'll take the Titans in a close one. Michael Canal, Hurd looked amazing. I think he pancaked someone every play. He was in. Going to be a monster. Let's see. Noah Lejeune, I'm holding out hope that Scone's prediction is still correct. 11-1 national champs. For what it's worth, I did pick LSU to beat Florida State, but when I picked them 11-1, I didn't say what game I thought they'd lose. And I said certainly they're capable of losing to Florida State, and they're capable of going to Tuscaloosa and winning as well. Could also lose. They could lose this week to Mississippi State. I mean, but I don't think they will. Cortland, Matt, the number of people who claim Daniels can't throw more than 10 yards is nuts even after that game. Maybe they just don't understand the word can't. Yeah. I'm just, again, I'm not going to be... I don't think there's a point this year where I'm going to have a Jaden hate outburst, because I'm just kind of over it. Like I said, everybody's made up their mind. There's no, like, nothing you do or say is going to convince someone that thinks he shouldn't be the quarterback that he should be the quarterback, right? So if you go out there and you're 6 for 6 on touchdown drives, you throw for 250 yards, 5 touchdowns, they're still like, oh, they don't throw the ball. Like, okay, I got nothing for you. Just see ya. So you just, whatever. Brambo, after yesterday's slate of games, I feel more comfortable with LSU's chance to make a run at the West title again. How different a week feels when other teams actually have to play good teams. I know nobody ever wants to hear it in the moment, but like when we were talking about the Florida State game last week, like, do you realize now, like, Florida State is probably the best team on your schedule? They're veteran on both lines of scrimmage. They got a 6-year quarterback. They got 2 freak show receivers. Their defensive line is pretty stellar. Like, they're good. It's a really good team. And you were better than them for the first half. And 2 critical drops away from probably leading that game going into the fourth quarter. Whatever. Nola's in the headshot photo for this video freaked me out. I don't know why. No, I don't know why all of a sudden that old like AFR logo is showing up as the thumbnail. I have no idea. Because I take a photo for the thumbnail, and y'all saw like there was a stretch where I was uploading thumbnails, and I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway. Aaron Hornsby, Joshua DeNova, Spectrum Wellcare, good morning. Let's see, H-Town Creole. Brambo is Perkins going to have a sophomore slump. He almost seems non-existent. I think a couple of things. Last week, LSU playing him in the middle, they schemed him out of the game. Just very obvious. He was in pass coverage much of the game, and that was a huge talking point all week. Last night, first play of the game, first defensive play of the game, they tried to throw a screen. He crushed the would-be receiver. I think Madhouse is just going to have to keep getting creative with him. But I'd also remind you that it wasn't until when was Ole Miss? The 5th or 6th game last year that Harold Perkins really made his presence felt. So, we weren't talking about Harold Perkins early in the year last year. He got out there and made his presence felt, and then it was like you can't justify having that guy off the field. So with Perkins this year, maybe even a young guy like Stamps or something like that, maybe you keep improving as the year goes along. Fred said, was it just me, or did you see how many people were out for college game day? Something's definitely going on in Alabama. What do you think? What do you mean we're out for college game day? Tremaine Green, Matt, please get another partner for Whiskey and Wine. He's too much next to you, his energy. Damn. Dudes. Well, we're not changing Whiskey and Wine. T-Bob's great. Like, we're a perfect yin and yang. There are people that love me and don't like him. There are people that love him and don't like me. Our personalities are such a strong contrast. Our styles are a strong contrast. It plays very well. So I get, Jermaine, it ain't for everybody. I get it. Like, I totally understand that. And the people that show is not for them, I totally respect that. And it's completely fine. But for what the show is, and the show is marketed as is, like, there are no misconceptions about who we are and or what we do. So, it is undeniable when you look at the stickiness that show has, how many people watch it, how many people talk about it. So we're not changing Whiskey and Wine. Lewis said, going forward is Hurd the starting right tackle. Maybe so. This is what they did last year. Remember week 2 against Southern, they got Emory Jones a lot of run, and then week 3 against Mississippi State, he made the start. So do you want Hurd to make his first start on the road in Starkville? Cowbells and all that? Maybe. But physically, he already can hang. Let's see. Brambo said Spates didn't play the second half. He was in sweats. Well, I know the starters didn't play the second half, but I was not in the stadium, so I don't know that he was in sweats. So, but good call. I can ask about that tomorrow. Let's see. Big Chrisdom. I know we don't have talent back there, but Burns is a liability. I would say Major Burns is much more of a box safety. He's a physical player that can play in the box and tackle. But they need safeties with cover skills. And Greg Brooks is probably your best overall defensive back right now. He's just very veteran, and he can play a deep safety, he can play box safety, he can play nickel. He's a really, really good player. He's just undersized, But yes, they got problems back there. Do you think Kelly understands the cowbells? H-Town Creole, did Brian Kelly get rid of all the coaches from Moser on staff? If he did, LSU will lose out on a lot of top recruits in the state. They retained Brad Davis, the offensive line coach, but they turned over the rest of the staff. And by the way, LSU has 8 of the top 10 players in Louisiana for this cycle committed, so they're doing just fine. Antron Hemingway, good morning. H-Town Creole said it's bad when your defensive backfield is leading the team in tackles. Unless if you understand the opponent you're playing, and that's the type of game that Grambling was playing. Grambling was playing a game where they were trying to spread it out and throw it a ton. And when that happens, your defensive backs need to keep the ball in front of them. That's why you saw everyone's asking why is LSU playing 7-10 yards off the line of scrimmage. Well, that's why. They were playing a lot of zone and they were playing off ball, because the one thing you don't want to have happen is you're playing press man coverage on the outside, your cornerback gets beat, which none of us are super confident in LSU's quarterbacks or LSU's cornerbacks right now, and then boop, over the top, and it's an 80-yard score. So it's like, give them a cushion, let them catch the ball within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage and tackle. Like, that was the game plan. And by and large, it worked. It was shaky early, but after they went touchdown, field goal, missed field goal, they never threatened again. I mean, Miles Crawley had 25 pass attempts. Calvez attempted 5, and Jacob Jones attempted 1. So they attempted 50. Grambling attempted 31 passes, and they ran it 29 times in the game. So, but I hate that. I hate that sack yardage counts against the rushing total. So like that, they count as a team rush on the air and snap that one for the safety. Calvez 2 for -5. Anyway. Austin, Matt, and T-Bob are a great duo if they even make losing entertaining. Matt, who's your pick to represent LSU, or represent the West in the SEC championship game? Still believe LSU can win the West because Bama is in decline. I mean, H-Town Creole, that's been my point all along. I mean, I was a believer in LSU this year because I looked at the SEC and said, I think this is, I've said this repeatedly, so this isn't like benefit of hindsight. And I get it. There's stuff we all get wrong. There's stuff I got wrong. I loved Clemson coming into the season, and they threw up on themselves against Duke. LSU wet the bed in the fourth quarter against Florida State. I get it. Strikes and gutters. But I'm not surprised because one of my contentions all year is this is the worst quarterback year in the SEC since 2014. I said that repeatedly. And as a result, with LSU having a fifth-year senior starting quarterback, like who is better at the quarterback position right now? LSU or Alabama? This is unequivocally answered LSU. You don't think LSU is going to be able to score in Tuscaloosa? I mean, I do. You saw the Alabama defense last night? I think LSU is going to be able to move the ball with those receivers and with Jaden Daniels and the ability to spread them out and throw it all around. And Logan Diggs look really good. And by the time you get to November, your running game should be coming along. Like, you're settled at quarterback. Bama's not. Okay, so you want to bench Jalen Milroe, you go to Tyler Buckner. All right, we go to Tyler Buckner. Guess what he doesn't give you? The running ability that Milroe does. Are you that dramatically better throwing the football with Buckner or Ty Simpson? So, yeah, I mean, I like LSU, so I picked LSU. Said it so many times. You get Auburn, A&M, Florida all at home. Tennessee rotates off. Missouri rotates on. Your road league games are the Mississippi schools, Missouri, and Bama. So, yes, you have to go to Bama, but I don't think Bama's going to be very good this year. So, Mr. APF, how do you feel about Zai and the other DBs after 2 weeks of seeing him live? I think Zai's your best cornerback. I don't even think that's debatable. But it ain't great, Let's see. Burns was tied for second most tackles. He missed one. Everyone missed tackles. Matthew Landry, D-line didn't get a push. That was the one surprising thing. But even he said because Grambling was getting the ball out quick. They were, but I would also say there were times where they were moving bodies and running the football, which was a little bit of a surprise with your starters out there. Mason Smith in the middle. And the concerning thing were those 2 long run plays in the first half. 3rd and 15, they ran a draw and got 35 yards. And 3rd and 10, they ran the ball for 27 yards. Like, those are the 2 things that were like, I don't like that at all. Ryan Melanson. Spurge, good morning. Congrats to the Bergman's horse. No name Mets on the win yesterday. Is this supposed to be Bregman? Did Bregman's horse win a race? That'd be cool. Let's see, Cortland. I was always anti-running quarterback. Jaden won me over when they open up our offense like yesterday. He really does well. We have to stop playing so tight. Trivia Carter, good morning. Gerard Guillory, BK was smart hiring Frank Wilson. Absolutely. H-Town Creole, I can remember the 80s, 90s top recruits in Louisiana weren't going to Baton Rouge. Hate to see those days again in Louisiana, but they're not. So that's, don't lose sight of this. So last year was Brian Kelly's first full class. And look, there were some guys, or I'm sorry, this was his first full class. Last year, there were just some guys you were never going to get. Like, if you look, here's the best players in Louisiana. Arch Manning was number 1. You were never getting Arch Manning. Lance Hurd was the number 2 player in the state. You got Lance. Derek Williams, that's a miss, right? I mean, safety out of Westgate, went to Texas. You'd have loved to have Derek. Shelton Sampson was 4. You got him. Eli Holstein, you were never getting. He went to Bama. Tackett Curtis, you were never getting. He went to Southern Cal. Didn't matter who the coach was. Jordan Matthews, cornerback that went to Tennessee. Jaden Osbury, that's Verge's son. Verge's boys were never going to LSU. They wanted to go away. So his oldest son went to Auburn, and then Jaden picked Notre Dame. After that, Caleb Jackson, LSU. Tyree Adams, LSU. Kylan Jackson, LSU. Trey Holly, LSU. Curly Reed picked Washington, and then Ricky Collins went to LSU. I mean, you did good. You were never, no matter who the coach was, you were never getting Arch Manning, Eli Holstein, Tackett Curtis. So, yes, you missed on Derek Williams, but you got Lance Hurd, Shelton Sampson, Caleb Jackson, Tyree Adams, Kylan Jackson, Trey Holly. You did well. And then if you look at 2024 in Louisiana, you have 8 of the top 10 players in Louisiana committed to LSU. Now, the top player is Dominic McKinley, the defensive lineman out of Acadiana. He picked Texas A&M. And Wardell Mack is the 4th best player. He's a cornerback out of John Ehret who picked Florida. And that stinks because that's Corey Raymond. Corey Raymond's at Florida, and he got the best cornerback out of Louisiana to go to Gainesville. That stinks. But you got Trades Green, Deshaun McBride, Tylen Singleton, Joel Rogers, Kalaj Cobbins, Kylan Bio. Biot is how they say it, I think. Juwan Johnson, Michael Turner, Demyron Johnson. So the top 12 players in the state, you have 8 of the top 10 and 10 of the top 12 in the state committed. So I mean, they're fine. Like, they're fine. Brian Kelly did a very smart thing when he got the job. He split his staff pretty evenly with coaches who knew him and coaches who know Louisiana. Bringing in Mike Denbrock, bringing in John Jancic. I know Kerry Cooks is in the secondary, but Kelly did a smart thing doing that and then bringing in coaches that know the state. He kept Brad Davis, who's from Baton Rouge, really good offensive line coach, highly thought of. Obviously brought back Frank Wilson. Joe Sloan was at Louisiana Tech, and Sloan was a quarterback's coach, was at Tech, and his recruiting territory was Baton Rouge for Tech. So he's based out in Ruston, so he knows North Louisiana, and his territory was Baton Rouge, so he knows here as well. So I think BK did a good job assembling his staff. I think not keeping Corey Raymond was a giant mistake. I think most of us all would universally agree with that. So it's on him to go fix it. Marquise Robinson, let's see. Matt, H-Town was claiming last night LSU didn't have any Louisiana guys on staff. Take your staff and recruiting comments with a grain of salt. It's all good, but no, I mean, LSU definitely has Louisiana guys on staff. I mean, Brad Davis from Baton Rouge. Frank Wilson obviously is from New Orleans. As I just mentioned, Sloan was at Tech. I'm trying to go quickly. So Denbrock came in from the outside. Matt House obviously had been in the SEC already. Cortez, Hankton. I'm trying to go position. Oh, that's right, because Jimmy Lindsay. So Bob Diaco. So Lindsay. Then Jancic moved in and Diaco moved in. Or Jancic moved positions and Diaco moved in. So Brad Davis from Baton Rouge, Cortez Hankton's from New Orleans, Frank Wilson, obviously from New Orleans and has great ties to the state. Sloan has ties to North Louisiana. That's 4 right there. And then you got Cook, Steeples, Jancic, Diaco, Denbrock, and who am I missing? Said Frank. Who am I missing? Brad Davis, Frank Wilson, Cortez Hankton, Mike Denbrock. Who am I missing? House, Jancic, Diaco, Cook, Steeples. Who am I missing? Am I losing my mind? Is somebody post? Who am I missing? I'm embarrassed now. House, Denbrock, Wilson, Jancic, Cooks, Diaco, Davis, Hankton, Sloan, Steeples. Maybe I was just miscounting. Well, obviously, and Jimmy Lindsay, but Jimmy Lindsay's indefinitely not with the team. But. Okay, let's see. 11:22. What y'all think? Someone asking about Terrence Welch. So. I liked very much sorry, I cracked my neck. I liked very much LaTerrence Welch's moxie. I liked that when Dwight McGlothern or when Ricks was leaving, I think this is how it went. When Ricks was transferring out, McGlothern quote tweeted him and was like, "Man, we were going to be great together." And then LaTerrence Welch, as a freshman who hadn't even gotten to campus yet, went and quote tweeted McGlothern and said, "Let's go be great together." I love that. Like, oh, 5-star number 1 player in the country's leaving. We're good. Let's you and me go do it. I love that moxie. Like, I want that out of a cornerback. So, I think. So that I guess my point is that part of it I loved. I can't say that I've seen anything on the field yet, practice or otherwise, that makes you go, "Yep, that's the dude." Now maybe you put him out there and he balls, maybe not. But I love the attitude, right? How that went. Anyway, we saw Mason Lunsford last night. Let's see, what were we looking at? Oh, looking for Welch, huh? He did play. I do not have a snap count on him, but he did play. Wait, see if we can get it. All right, let's see. Fawn's asking for an update on Jimmy Lindsey. Fawn's, I don't think he'll be. This is speculative on my part. I want to be very clear. Be very, very speculative on my part. Based on what I do, based on the information I do have, I think it is highly unlikely that he returns this year. I think he's going to have, he's got a little bit of a road to recovery ahead of him. So, y'all keep Jimmy Lindsey in your prayers for sure. I said Sloan because I was saying Sloan was North Louisiana. Maybe I just forgot to check him off wherever I was counting. Yeah, H-Town Creo said the days when Cedric Figueroa, top linebacker at Lafayette High, went to Notre Dame, Cordell Stewart and Eric Bieniemy went to Colorado. It wasn't just that. I mean, Reggie Wayne went to Miami. Obviously, Peyton went to Tennessee. Yes, work done. Travis Minor went to Florida State. Yes, there was a time where the best players in the state did not stay home. And that was terrible. And DiNardo turned that around with Kevin Falk. And Nick Saban, famously talked about putting the fence around Louisiana, which he did. And by and large, that fence has stayed intact. By and large, that fence has stayed intact, although Nick at times has found a few holes in that fence. All right, a couple more here. Did Quincy Wiggins play? Wiggins did play last night, yes. All right, I think we're done, y'all. Thanks so much for being here. Paul Dykes, what's going on? Let's see. Samuel Merrifield, Jimbo is toast at A&M right now. I have a feeling the Saints dropped today's game. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I've given up my pick a few times. I gave it on Friday as well. I have the Titans 27-24 today. Let's see. Keith Watts, Matt, can you tell us about your shots you get to help your hair grow? That was like 10 years ago, and I would highly recommend it for anybody. So it's PRP with hair restoration. I would highly recommend it for someone who is starting to bald. Because I 100% regrew hair. I would say I more than doubled the hair that I had. I was so far gone though. Like the comparison I would give you is, there's a difference between like sodding your yard and putting like easy seed in your yard, right? That PRP I would say would be like easy seed. So if you're noticing you're starting to thin, that's a great option. That's a great option to maintain and regrow hair before you go bald. I mean, I was already so far gone. I regrew a ton of hair. Like I have side by side, you can see noticeably like how much hair I regrew. It's kind of amazing, but I was still bald. I was still like balding, And then I lost a bet to Terrio, shaved my head, and I liked the look and never went back. Let's see Mark Allen walk off with the jingle. Okay. You know what, Mark? We've been here for 74 minutes. Ask and you shall receive. I don't know why this is happening here. Why am I? That is not working. Let's see. This might be super loud. It's not. Super loud.
When you need a roof, call someone you know. Scone, Ontario.
All you need is HUDCO.
Call HUDCO Roofing.
364.
1007.
HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Remember, commercial roofing projects as well. Got a silicone coating product. So if you have a commercial building or know someone who does, it's roughly half the cost of full roof replacement and comes with a 20-year warranty. Ask yourself, like, are you still even going to own that building in 20 years? If you could put off having to replace the roof for 20 years, wouldn't you do it? Yes, you would. HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Devin Kelly can't stand that idiot music in the comment section, whiskey and wine, with his nuts plus stupidity and Jaden hate. I just largely ignore them now. Devin, it's all good, man. Let's go get a win next week at Stark Vegas. All right. East Town Crew, have a great day. Time to watch the Saints and beginning of the car era. Hashtag who dat. Let's go get it, y'all. I did pick the Titans. I do like the Saints next week in Carolina. However, I think Bryce Young, getting him in just his second career start, the Saints catch a huge break there early in the year. I was really hoping Tennessee was going to start Will Levis, but they're sticking with Tannehill. So anyway, okay. Thanks for watching. Y'all have an awesome day. Go Tigers. Who dat? Let's go get a win today. Prove me wrong again, and we'll look forward to see. Depending on how this game goes, how the day goes, maybe I'll fire up a Saints post game if y'all are down for it. But we'll see. All right, y'all have an awesome day. See you. Peace.